Welcome to the first week of house groups. Most weeks you're gonna get to watch a video from me and usually someone else where we're gonna be doing three things. One, we're gonna provide some church-wide announcements for you. Two, we're gonna talk a little bit about the vision for house groups. The reason that we're gonna do that every week is vision leaks, and we wanna just continue to kind of pour into you and remind you that the time that you're spending doing this is time wisely invested, but you're not maybe gonna feel or experience the fruit of that wise investment in the moment. A lot of times what I found when I'm in house groups is the times that I realize that it was a good idea are when I'm driving home, not when I'm driving to the group. And so we want to just kind of continue to affirm you through that vision. And then the third thing that we're going to do is provide a quick recap of what we talked about on Sunday before you head into your small group time. So I have two church-wide announcements that I want to remind you of, kind of highlight in your mind. The first is that on Saturday, September 27th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. here at Mercy Hill, we have a guy who I actually grew up with, didn't know very well, named Doug Goodmanson, that I reconnected with this summer, coming in to talk to us about kids and finances. The phrase that he's kind of using when he's described it to me is some of it is caught and some of it is taught. He has 4 kids that are this kind of really wide age spread, and he's a real thought leader around generosity and stewardship, and especially how it shows up in your house. So if that's something that kind of pricks your heart or your mind, I'd encourage you to set aside 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on September 27th. The second announcement is that I want to remind you to mark your calendar for Friday, October 24th, when we're going to be having our trunk or treat. What I want to ask you to do is show up yourself, but I also want to encourage you to pray about who God might want you to invite, plan to invite them, and then pray for them before that you make that invitation. The reason I'm filming where I am today is I wanted you to see kind of our baptism tub behind us. We're in the process of taking it down right now. Lives are being changed by the power of God through his people here at Mercy Hill. And one of the clearest indications of that is baptism, but it starts with invitation. And a lot of times it starts with an invitation to something small and low key like trunk or treat that then leads to spiritual conversations, invitations to Sunday morning services, invitation to house groups. And then you experience kind of how much God loves you and how that kind of changes everything about who you are. The kind of piece of vision that I wanted to share with you about house groups over kind of these first few weeks is this idea of showing up for each other. To me, there are two ideas there. There's one, they're showing up, and then two, they're showing up for each other. What I mean by showing up is I have a friend who talks about sacrificing to attend. I think when he's talking about it, he's usually talking about Sunday morning. But I think it's a good idea when you think about any space that you're in. You know, maybe it's a workout that you regularly go to. Maybe it's a difficult conversation that you have to have. Maybe it's going to school. You know, but you sacrifice to attend. You make it a priority and you commit to it and you kind of clear out what's around you. I know you're going to miss some group times here and there, but my challenge to you is to say, I am going to sacrifice to attend. Say it now while the sun is still shining and it's still warm outside, because when winter comes, if you kind of make that commitment in your heart and your mind and your imagination, it's going to continue through that difficult season. The second part of that phrase, show up for each other, is this idea that house groups are an incredible opportunity for you to really care deeply for each other. One of the things that's like really kind of magical, amazing, powerful about house groups is the size. It's big enough so that together, collectively, you can really make a deep impact in each other's lives. You're going to be able to rejoice well with people who are rejoicing and celebrate well with people who are celebrating. And you're also going to be able to mourn with and care for people who are hurting. So the vision of house groups is that you'd show up for each other. Make a commitment to sacrifice to attend and continue to share more of yourself so that God can use you to care for each other. Here's just a quick recap of the sermon. We're in this series that we're calling Boundless Joy, where we're looking at the book of Philippians, who was written by a guy named Paul. I talked about Philippians 1, verses 12 through 18. Kind of the phrase that I use to create the tension of that talk is this one we've all heard before, and that's comparison is the thief of joy. It's amazing to me that 2,000 years ago, there was the threat of comparison stealing Paul's joy. And he says in Philippians 1:12 through 18 that there's a part of comparison with circumstances, and there's a part of comparison with would-be competitors that is a temptation to steal his joy. And he just doesn't let it. Paul is literally writing this letter in prison, and he won't let anything steal the joy that he has in Jesus Christ. He won't let his circumstances steal his joy, and he won't let the idea of competition or other people stealing his joy either. Instead, what he does is he anchors his worth in Jesus Christ. We have an opportunity to anchor our worth in Jesus Christ, and as a result of that, not allow comparison to do the damaging work that it wants to do to our joy. Instead, we can choose joy over jealousy, and we can let our pain preach. When I say choose joy over jealousy, I'm encouraging you to celebrate other people's wins so that you get in a collaborative mindset instead of a competitive mindset. This can be especially powerful with your neighbors and with the people that you work with. There's so many different environments where American culture just wants to put us in competition with each other. And if we say yes to that, we're actually also saying yes to comparison. And competition can be fun, but it also can be so corrosive. So choose joy over jealousy by celebrating other people's wins, and then let your pain preach. One of the things that we do when we're allowing comparison to have too much of a role in our lives is we get really quiet about our struggles. We get really quiet about things that aren't going well for us. And God actually wants to use the challenges. God actually wants to use the struggles. God actually wants to use the circumstances of your existence and how you respond to them to minister to other people. So if you go back to what I was talking about, showing up for each other, if you can be real about what's going on in your life and you can let your pain preach as well as your successes, God is going to use that for his glory, for your joy, and for your neighbor's good.